Hi everyone, this is Nikki Rowland and today I have a layout for Bella Blvd. So I've recently joined the Bella Blvd Creative Team and this is my first layout for them. So today my assignment was to use the Aria alphabet stickers and the Florence alphabet stickers in a creative way. And I've paired the colours I've chosen with the Squeeze the Day collection, which is lovely and bright and summery. I've only used a few bits from Squeeze the Day because I'm focusing mostly on the alphabet stickers. So I had this idea that I would create a rainbow of words on my layout. So I started off by attempting to draw a rainbow, so I had an arc to follow. I failed at that, I wasn't very good at that. And in the end, I'm trying a few times, as you can see, but in the end I decided just to kind of go for it and hope for the best. I also had the idea that I would use some clouds that I cut from a cut file. So the clouds that I've cut there are from a cute little rainbow cut file from the Silhouette store, Bella Blvd one, of course. It's called Rainbow with Cloud, and I just cut the cloud, and I cut the cloud twice, and I did them mirrored, so I had one way and one the other way. It's a very quite a subtle design. It's just a cloud with a heart in, so when I mirrored it, it only mirrored the heart really. Okay, so here I am attempting to put my first word down. Didn't like it, moved it to the middle, liked it much better. So that's good, I'm happy with that. So just going back to my cloud for a moment, I've cut it from one of the Bella Besties papers. It's a white paper, or it's definitely a pattern paper. It's not a cardstock, and it's like white with kind of grey dots. So it's as white a pattern paper as you can get. So of course I wanted white because it's a cloud. So I've cut that from that. But actually in the end it turned out that my clouds were too small. I had to abandon those ones and recut them in a bigger size. So you'll see what I do with that later on. Okay, so like I said, my idea was to create a rainbow of words, and I thought I would use words about my little boy. So he is 2.5 and a bit crazy, but he's full of beans and wonderful, even though he causes me total havoc and chaos on a daily basis. We love him to pieces. We wouldn't be without him, of course. So I made a list of all the words I could use to describe him. And then I thought I would attempt to create these words in a rainbow shape in the different colours. So there was a couple of problems with this. One was that my letters were all different sizes, because letters are all different sizes, you know, with the ascenders and the descenders. And then I was using two different fonts as well. So the Aria alphabet stickers, which are puffy and larger, and then the Florence alphabet stickers, which are smaller and flat. The small flat ones worked better because the big Aria ones took up a lot of room, but I love the difference, so I love having a mixture of both actually, and of course I've got them in the same colours, so I've got Aria and Florence, a set of those in both colours, for all the colours. So it was great to mix and match, but the Aria ones did cause me some issues in terms of space. So my plan was to have 7 different colours, but in the end I only managed 5. Because my layout just was not big enough to manage the rainbow in the 7 arcs. So I get as far as I've got pink and purple and then blue, and now I'm going in for green, and I end up finishing on yellow, and that's as far as I could go without going off the sheet. But I love how it looks, I love how it turns out. You can see that I'm having to move things around. It's a very much trial and error. My drawn pencil lines that I started off with did absolutely nothing for me whatsoever. I literally had to eyeball it and create this arc with just purely using my eye. So everything started off with the first word, spirited, and that was in quite a nice shape, and obviously it was quite low down and not a huge arc at this point, and then I could just kind of curve things around the top of it, but I did have to keep moving things because they didn't look right. of course, then I had the ascenders and the descenders to deal with. So what do I do with those? What I worked out worked best was to have a large word and then a row of smaller, or if I used a large word, the next row above that word would then be in a smaller font, and then if I had a small word, then a small font, sorry, then the word above it would then be a larger one. That worked quite well. So you can see how I'm doing it there. They kind of then fit together. So the small ones kind of fit in between the big ones, and that worked out pretty well. So yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out. It looks really good now. I'm happy that I carried on. There was one point that I was thinking, goodness, this is never going to work. I'm going to have to abandon it. But I think I was more concerned about the fact that I didn't have all the colours of the rainbow, which is what I was aiming for. But actually, it works well. I'm happy with the colours I've got. They remind me of spring rather than a rainbow. And this is a boy photo, so not having too much pink was fine, although, you know, rainbows are very generic, aren't they? So yeah, you can see what I'm doing. I'm carrying on with all of my letters. I'm nearly there now. I've just got a few more letters to put in. So this is my biggest problem I encountered. I wanted to now put a long word next to the word special in yellow, and I chose the Florence alphabet because it was smaller, but it was a very long word. It's independent, and that just went too far down. Look how far down that's going. It's not working at all. So I had to rearrange the whole of the yellow arc and move everything round. Literally the entire lot had to move round, so that I could fit independent in, and it would look correct, would look right. So yeah, it's now that I've done it, it looks really, really good. I'm happy with all the words that I chose. I had to have some small ones up my sleeve to fit into smaller gaps, like I've added on the green row. I've just currently got adorable, happy, charming, and now I need to put something in there. So I've just gone for yes. Now, it doesn't actually describe him, but he's very enthusiastic about most things, so that works well as far as I'm concerned. And there's a photo of him hiding in the park, our local woodland park, hiding in amongst some trees and some branches, looking very mischievous. That's a word I should have put in, mischievous, but I didn't. Okay, so I'm happy with how it's all looking. I've recut my clouds. I've sewn through my letters, the arcs of the letters, with my sewing machine. I've just used white thread and a running stitch on my sewing machine, so nothing fancy. And now I've recut my clouds, as you can see. Same paper, just a lot bigger, and I'm sticking those onto a piece of white card, and I wanted to have them stuck really well around the edges, so that's why I put lots of tape on them. And the reason for that is because I'm going to paper pierce all the way around the edges with my paper piercing tool, and I'm going to stitch around them in a hot pink thread. So hot pink was one of the colours I did not get onto my rainbow arcs, so I've decided to bring it in another way, because even though I decided earlier I didn't want pink on this layout because it's a boy layout, or actually I was okay with there not being pink in a rainbow layout. It was more of my point. Actually it lacked something without it, so I wanted to bring it in, and I have chosen a really hot pink thread. I've stayed with 6 strands of embroidery floss, so I haven't divided it into only 3. I've done it in 6 strands, so I've got a real chunky look. And I've stitched around all the way around the clouds and the heart as well. And now I'm just going to trim around that, just freehand using my scissors, and this gives me a small white border. It's not a perfect border because I didn't cut it on my silhouette, but it's hand cut around the edge, so it's pretty good. It's as close as it could be to perfectly cut when using scissors and not a silhouette, so I'm happy with how it looks. Just trying to work out how I'm going to get my clouds in, because I really wanted them the hearts on the edges of the layouts, but the bumps on the clouds fitted better if they were the other way around. But in the end I decided that I wasn't happy with the hearts in the middle. I wanted them further towards the outside, so I did swap them back again and just kind of made it fit really. Just to mention also that in the letters, amongst the letters, in between the letters, I've put little tiny hearts. They are all from either the Aria puffy alphabet stickers or from the Florence flat stickers. They've all got little hearts on both of them, so they were a perfect kind of full stop, if you like, in between each of the words. I haven't got something in between every word, but where I needed a bit of space, I have popped those little hearts in there, and they work well. So at this point, I'm thinking that my layout needs a border, and I keep thinking about the hot pink. I was trying to bring in like bright colours. I pulled out some Squeeze the Day papers and tried to work out if I was happy with any of those as a border around the outside of the layout. I tried a few, I wasn't happy with them. I lost too much of the pattern for it to work, or they weren't solid patterns enough to work around the outside. I could have always reached for the Bella Blvd papers because they all read as solid prints, but I was trying to bring in Squeeze the Day, because I was planning to use some of those embellishments. So right now I'm thinking I'm going to stick with a white background and not have any border at all. So I've moved on and I'm just going to go through the ephemera. I have both the icons and the words, and I'm just going through both of those to pull out a few bits to go around the clusters on the clouds. Now there's not a lot of room elsewhere on the layout for other embellishments. They really have to just go on the cloud and around the clouds, and around the photo, because the rest of the layout is really taken up by the words on the rainbow. Okay, so I have been through every piece of paper I own and decided to go with this hot pink Squeeze the Day paper. So like I said, this layout was lacking in hot pink. I felt that it did need just needed to be brightened up that little bit. So I've gone for the hot pink. That is a pattern from the Squeeze the Day collection pack, and I have trimmed my layout down. Now the problem I had with trimming it down was that I had clouds already stuck in place and I couldn't slice it on my guillotine because I would have sliced those clouds right off, and I decided to leave those clouds the size they were. So I sliced as much as I could on my guillotine, and then I took my scissors and trimmed the rest, and that worked fine. And because I'm just dressing the edges of the white cardstock, it really didn't matter if those bits that I did cut were slightly skew-iff. I don't know about anyone else, but I cannot get a straight edge with a pair of scissors. Whatever I do always looks wonky. So I always use my guillotine or my trimmer, and I almost always distress the edges as well. So I've done that and it looks fine. I'm happy with how it looks. And now I'm just going to add in all the rest of the embellishments that I've pulled out, earlier and didn't stick in place before I decided I needed to pull in the hot pink border. So I have a few bits and pieces going on here. I have the rainbow. Over on the right hand side is a Bella Blvd Squeeze the Day acrylic shape. It's called Rainbows. It has rainbows and clouds on it, and it has in the clouds they have a little cutout of a heart, so you have that negative piece to use as well. So I'm using one cloud and one rainbow acrylic shape on this layout. I actually stuck the rainbow onto a piece of white card first and then cut it out so that it didn't show the other layers behind it when I stuck it down. I've also put out some ephemera, so I've got a rainbow and a cloud ephemera. I've got some heart ephemera. I've got a little label over on the right on the photo that says smile. I've got another little label, an orange one that says perfectly imperfect. More hearts, and a tag just behind the photo as well, which I've tied through with some gold thread. Getting there now, nearly finished. Oh, over on the left hand side I've also pulled out a piece of ephemera that says explore, and I've got a couple of ephemera flowers as well. So yeah, I'm just carrying on, making sure that I'm happy with how everything is looking. Right now I am adding some splatters of paint to my rainbow arcs. So I've pulled out some different shimmers paints in my stash. They're all sprays, and I've just used a paintbrush, dipped it directly into the bottle and splattered very close to the page, and that's so that I didn't get rogue splatters of one colour and the next row. So I just had to be careful how I did that. So I picked a paintbrush that I know behaves itself quite well and doesn't splatter all over the place, and I kept it very close to the page. I did try to make myself a template, but then I realised that when I moved my template, I'll smudge the previous paint, so I didn't do that in the end. So yeah, so just I'm doing colour on colour as well, of course, so I've got pink splatters on the pink section and purple splatters on the purple section, etc. Okay, and that is me finished, other than the fact that I just want to write a couple of lines, or a few more lines of journaling under my photo. So I chose a grey pen and I've written directly onto my white background, and that is it. I've underlined that with a ruler as well, just to give it a bit of extra definition, and I haven't put the date on yet, but I really must do that, otherwise when I come to file this layout in about 5 years time, I will not know the date. Okay, so that is me done. I hope you have enjoyed this layout. I loved creating it. It was such fun to dive into those beautiful colours of those alphabet stickers and to use the Squeeze the Day collection as well. Thank you so very much for joining me today. That was Nikki Rowland for Bella Blvd.